It's the machine. It's Bradley. It's the man. It's Wyatt. Look at us. We're here, man versus machine.
The man.
I'm the machine.
Oh, I love the Sounders. It's always great. Welcome back, Wyatt and Bradley, kicking it off Wednesday evening. We're going to talk rest of season rankings. We've had some devastating things happen. Wyatt, Malik Neighbors, ACL tear, Tyreek Hill, ACL tear, and now it's just every 2 hours we're getting injury news about some starting running back. That is
the entire 49ers offense is done, apparently.
Gosh, is Christian McCaffrey next?
No, I think that's how he's staying healthy. You know, he's like a succubus.
He's sapping away the health from all of the other 49ers. Yeah, it's the Wild West out there. Check your waiver wires, check your leagues. Benson was put on the IR today. There's hot debates whether it's Michael Carter and Mari DeMarcado, but you know, we'll see. We'll see how these backfields end up. The Michael Carter truthers are not dead yet, right? But tonight, Wyatt and I are actually going to take a look at the player profiler rest of season ranking. So our analytics guru, Evan Ringler, he does an awesome job updating these every week so that we have some of the best, we have the best rankings in the industry. But these rest of season rankings, the fun part is when we disagree with these things. Wyatt and I are we're crushing it in the Fantasy Pros Accuracy Contest this year, continuing to put up really good scores. And so we're going to talk about ones that we're looking at the data, we're looking at the analytics, and ones that we agree with. Actually, we're just talking about ones we disagree with that are too high or too low. Like, where are we looking at in terms of running backs and wide receivers? On any given Sunday, Wyatt, a quarterback can be quarterback 5 or can be quarterback 25. A tight end, same thing. I mean, we saw 2 Tennessee Titans tight ends end up being in the top 12 this past week. So it's all, those are not as fun. The fun ones are running backs and wide receivers. So we're going to talk some running backs and wide receiver rankings, rest of season, who we think are too high, too low. Wyatt, you want to kick us off with a running back?
Sure. Yeah. The first one I noticed was Javonte Williams, who, hand up, I was very wrong about coming into the season. He was like a complete void for me, but give credit where credit is due. I think he looks a lot better than he did for Denver last year, and he's got a good role right now. But he's currently running back 10 in the rest of the season rankings on playerprofiler.com, and that's just a bit too high for me. One, it's a little bit of lack of confidence that this will continue all season long. And two, it's just that, like, you can just pick out some of the people that are right behind him, and I would just easily rather have them. Like, I'd rather have Cam Skattebo over Javonte Williams. I just believe in what Cam Skattebo is more than Javonte is, holding and being so late into the season. Especially since he's a rookie. I think this offense now with Jackson Dart, can really reach even new heights. Ashton Genty is behind Javonte Williams, which that one, I feel like I don't have to do too much explaining on, especially after just watching the week that Genty had. Breece Hall after that. So it's just that, give credit to Javonte Williams. I do think he should be pretty high up in the rest of the season rankings. I mean, he's been good. The role's good, but this is a bit too high.
I mean, here's the counterpoint, Wyatt. He's the running back 6 on the season. He's had 2 top 5 finishes. He hasn't finished outside the top 20. He's getting massive volume. He's had at least 15 touches in every game. This Dallas offense is leaning heavily on him and Jake Ferguson, especially now that CeeDee Lamb is out. I mean, I don't disagree with you that he's too high. I think there's just a really insulated floor here. So even if he averaged, let's say, running back 20 the rest of the way, or was running back 20 the rest of the way, not only is he paying off, but I think that he's a real good value, and there's no reason to move him out of your lineup rest of season. Miles Sanders dealing with injury. It's clear that the other running backs are not touching anywhere close. One of the commentators on Sunday night, because it was Green Bay versus Dallas, and I was, as you can tell by all of the Green Bay paraphernalia behind me, I was personally invested in this game. They made the comment that Javonte Williams reminded them of a Josh Jacobs, and I can't get there. I can't quite get there, but I can see like the parallel pathway that this was Josh Jacobs, if you remember when he was on the Raiders, could just not stay healthy, and he was ineffective. He was inefficient, and he got a second life essentially in Green Bay, where they leaned very heavily on him. He's more efficient. And there was chatter of, oh, is this going to be a split backfield? It was not. And so I don't like him this high either, but I'm not, and I don't like that he's ahead of, a couple of the other guys that you mentioned, like Genty and Hall, but he should be probably closer to running back 16. I think that's fine. I think rest of season he's good at that spot. I don't want to get any lower because what we've seen for the first 4 weeks is pretty strong.
Yeah, it's not necessarily hate on Javonte. It's just he's higher than some players I think should just be ahead of him at this point.
Sure. I know you mentioned Cam Skattebo. I running back 11 rest of season is what we have in the rest of season rankings at Player Profiler. And look, I love Skattebo. I was one of the people who this offseason said you'll lose your league if you don't draft Cam Skattebo. But running back 11 also feels very aggressive, Wyatt. I mean, yes, Tyrone Tracy has been out the last couple games. And we look at the game log, Skattebo over the last 2 weeks has had 16 or more. And last week he had 27 touches. But I think he's more like running back 20, running back 18, like in that range, especially because we expect that Tyrone Tracy is going to come back. And I don't think Tracy was going to go away. So looking at where Cam Skattebo is rest of season, like over the next 2 weeks, I'm fine ranking Skattebo as like running back 14, running back 12. I'm okay with that. But when Tracy comes back, we have to think rest of season. I can't get to 11. That is too spicy. You mentioned Genty. You mentioned Breece Hall. Like I want those guys over Cam Skattebo.
I also want Genty and Breece Hall over Cam Skattebo, but I still feel pretty strongly about Cam Skattebo and think that he should be considered low-end RB1, high-end RB2. He's got such a good role, I think, on this Giants offense. And I understand that Tyrone Tracy's coming back. 2 things. One is that I think it's Cam Skattebo's backfield, just straight up. Like I think Tracy's gonna have some opportunities. Don't get me wrong, but I think Skattebo's opportunities come first, and especially with Malik Neighbors being out, this is a team that's going to center a lot of their offense around the running backs, and there's going to be a lot of targets to the running backs. Both are good pass catchers. They don't have a lot of options. They kind of have to manufacture passing offense. I think they're going to have to do that through the running backs at times. And believe in Jackson Dart and getting this team in a scoring position. So while 11 is like rich, I think it's in the range of where he should be. And like I said, I would take him over Javonte Williams rest of the season.
Yeah, I would do that. Cam Skattebo over Javonte Williams rest of season. For what it's worth, the expert consensus rankings this week on Fantasy Pros, I mean, it's Wednesday. Lots of like the sand shifts throughout the week and the weekend. Yeah. But right now, Javonte is 11. Cam Skattebo is 13. I think give me Skattebo over Javonte this week as well. I think I would switch that. I'd make that move.
In rest of the season, I always wait the end of the season more than I am the next couple weeks.
Sure.
Now, you might have a team where you can't do that. You need to pick up wins, and you really got to value the next few weeks. And I understand when that happens. That happens to everybody. But
especially now the bye weeks are happening. We're missing a lot of days on bye.
And when I'm thinking about weeks 15, 16, 17, who do I think is more likely to be still having this really good role and producing? Like Cam Skattebo is going to be, near the top of that list.
Yeah, he's going to be there. Wyatt, hit us with another player that sticks out to you from these rest of season rankings on playerprofiler.com.
Yeah, so running back, this is one where I think he's way too low, and that's Kenneth Walker. He's down at RB 27.
Yeah,
I understand that like some adjustment had to be made, and we've talked about this, that it's not just his backfield. Him and Charbonnet are splitting this backfield, but also Kenneth Walker is the more efficient player. And this is another offense that they want to get their running backs a lot of touches. Like they are splitting the backfield, and Walker is getting 15 to 18 opportunities a game, so like it is not hampering him on touches. He's still getting there on opportunity wise. We know he's a good player. The Seattle offense is probably better than most people expect because Sam Darnold is playing better than people expected to.
Yep.
So, him behind Tony Pollard, who has been unable to produce on the worst offense in the NFL, and Tyjae Spears is coming back. Alvin Kamara, who is no longer getting the opportunities that we're used to for Alvin Kamara, not getting the targets that we like. Chase Brown, without Joe Burrow there, he's incapable of scoring fantasy points right now. Like so, yes, he's in the split backfield, but he can still get there. And I think this is too low of a ranking.
Oh, I agree. Very, very low on Kenneth Walker. The metrics are there too. And you mentioned that the offense is better than we expect. And that's showing through, I think, in the running game, in their team run plays per game. Seattle is 4th right now in team run plays per game. And even though Kenneth Walker is only at a 44.6% snap share, a 29th among running backs in opportunity share, the fact that the volume of rushes is there, this is good news for a player who is number 5 in juke rate, number 8 in evaded tackles, number 10 in explosive rating, and number 3 in breakaway runs. He is explosive, and he's shown that. He's had 2 of his 4 weeks finish his top 10. So we've seen ceiling games for him despite the split backfield so far. So yeah, 27, way too low. And I agree with you. You mentioned Pollard, you mentioned Chase Brown. Even just for this week, I'm concerned that Jordan Mason may not do well against the Browns. That's tough. And Alvin Kamara, you mentioned, DeAndre Swift has been really inefficient. Chuba Hubbard, like we're starting to get up into the low teens where Kenneth Walker should be. So this is like, he should be closer to the, Bucky Irving is probably going to miss. So we move him down.
That one's interesting. That was like actually the first name when I was going through this that I saw, because Bucky Irving right now, RB 17. But I think a lot of that is what is actually happening with his injury. Because it's like the report is like the injury came before the 72-yard touchdown catch, which is like crazy to think. So he played on it and had that massive play, but now we don't actually know like how long.
Then maybe the swelling, and he's had a boot today.
Like adrenaline's going within the game. It's not unheard of for someone to like get hurt in game, play on it, look fine, and then turn out to be hurt. It's just like we really don't know what's gonna be happening with Bucky Irving. So like Bucky Irving could be ranked way too high or way too low, depending on where his injury's at.
And Jaylen Warren, even like, give me Kenneth Walker over Jaylen Warren.
That's an interesting one too, because of how Kenneth Gainwell looked. What's that split going to be like when Warren gets back?
Kenny G. Na. There we go, people. You're here for the bad takes, the bad Kenny G impressions. And we're going to stay in this range for me too. A player that's sticking out that I think is too low is Quinshon Judkins. Like at 18, it's clear that he's the bell cow. It's clear that he should be closer to this Cam Skattebo area. Like he should be a top 10 consideration. Like that's what's going to keep Cleveland in the games, is their defense, which is elite, and until it breaks down because the offense is terrible, and leaning into your efficient running game, which is Quinshon Judkins. So that's how the Browns are going to have to game plan, especially with this new quarterback, Dylan. Good guy Gabe. Good guy Gabe is getting his start here in London, but look, I've been big Quinshon Judkins guy all off season. Wyatt knows this. Everyone knows this. I think that he should be closer to running back 10 than running back 20. And right now at 18 rest of season, all he needs are a couple big runs. In Cleveland, because the defense is going to keep them in the game for most of the game. Like that's what we saw with like even the Baltimore matchup where Cleveland got smoked by them. They weren't smoked until right at the end when everything just imploded. They were very close for a while. And that's why I think Judkins, even with the quote unquote bad team narrative, he's still going to be just fine.
Yeah, I've been impressed by Judkins. Number one, I think, frankly, like he's looked better in the NFL than he did in college. You look at some of like the advanced metrics for Judkins in college, and like some of his after contact stuff actually was not that impressive. But so far in the NFL, it's been very impressive, and he's been running through tackles and getting lots of yards after them. And I've been impressed that basically since the moment he was able to play, the Browns were like, "Yep, this is your backfield." Like the first week he played was a little bit of a split, but he got the majority of the split. And then ever since then, it's just been like, yeah, this is your backfield. Jerome Ford's going to play on some third downs. And, Dylan Sampson will mix in if you're tired. But otherwise, this is your backfield. And he's getting touches and opportunities in all aspects of the game. He's doing well with them. And the Browns are kind of just committed to him like all game long. It kind of doesn't matter. Like they were a team that we talked about before the season because this is something they did last year where it was just like when they got down, they would just drop back and pass over and over and over again. They just did not care. And this year, they're not doing that quite as much. They're just still being like, we're just going to hand off to Quinshon. Like, we got this good running game. We're just going to keep doing this, Even when they're down, they just keep him in the game and keep giving it to him. So I agree. Like, he should be up higher.
He's the number one running back this year in Dominator rating, 41.8%. And he's doing all of this, knowing that when he's on the field, like defenders are playing the run. He's number 7 among running backs and average defenders in the box, number 8 in stacked front carry rate, number 5 in base front carry rate. Like, yeah, he's 47th in light front carry rate. Pretty much when he's out there, they are the defense is bunched up close to the offensive line. They are not giving him much room to run. And so even with that, with those data points, he still looks really good. So I'm encouraged by that. Great. Well, after we get back from our break, Wyatt and I are going to talk about a couple wide receivers that we think are either too high or too low in the rest of season rankings. I'll give you a hint. One of them is a giant. So I'm very excited about diving into that. But before we do, a word from our friends at Fast Draft.
Pour one out for an incredible best ball season. It was a breakout 2025 for Fast Draft, but now the NFL action has started. That means it's DFS season. That's right. You might think, oh, wow, DFS, I can't win DFS. Oh, but you can on Fast Draft. You just pick any 6 guys, and you put them in a handful of booster spots. There's no salary rubric you have to follow. You're not going up against thousands of killer bots in these tournaments. Oh, no. These are regular people grabbing their 6 favorite plays of the week, and that's all you have to do. And we post the ownership so that you can choose how much chalk you want. There is no drafting. It's called the Quick 6 Super Slam. The Quick 6 Super Slam is the signature DFS contest at Fast Draft. It is changing DFS. We are making DFS great again. So go to fastdraft.app and use your host promo code for a $50 deposit match. And let's go start drafting faster.
That's right. Welcome back to Man versus Machine.
I'm the machine.
The man. All right, the sounders are still working. This is excellent. Wyatt and I are bringing you the rankings goodness that everyone is clamoring for here at Player Profiler Now. Make sure you guys are smashing the subscribe button on YouTube. Give us the like, the thumbs up, give us the comments, tweet it out. Shout out to Pete Nova who reposted this stream. Thanks, Pete. Thank you. Wyatt, you've got a wide receiver that is just too low in the rankings. Talk to us about this player.
Justin Jefferson, wide receiver 13 in the rest of the season rankings. Like, I don't care what you have to say about what's going on around him. Carson Wentz, JJ McCarthy. I don't care. Wide receiver 13 is too dang low for Justin Jefferson. I can't imagine having this man outside my top 10 wide receivers rest of the season. I can't imagine having him top 10 outside my top 10, regardless of what the game is. Justin Jefferson is that dude. Like, he's still doing all right with whatever's going on. Like, I'm having trouble articulating it because it's Justin Jefferson we're talking about. Like, I would never have him below, even for me, Emeka Egbuka. I'm not doing it. I'm not having him below Nico Collins in this disastrous Houston offense. I'm not having him below Davante Adams, even though Davante Adams is on this touchdown streak there for the Rams. Like, Justin Jefferson's too low. I can't do this.
Yeah, Jefferson has finished wide receiver 30 or worse 2 of his 4 weeks so far. He is the wide receiver. He is the wide receiver 15 on the season, but Justin Jefferson also the wide receiver 6 in receiving explosive rating, number 6 in explosive plays. Those still exist. The Vikings do get Cleveland here in week 5. We chatted about that earlier, but he's playing all the snaps. He's getting all the targets. He's number 5 in receiving yards on the season. He's number 3 in yards per team pass attempts, 5th in formation adjusted yards per route run. Like, he's still Justin Jefferson, and you have to give a little bit of grace. I think there's a little bit of grace for Carson Wentz just come essentially off the street to step in for JJ McCarthy, who is expected to miss week 5. I think if it wasn't the Browns, I would have been much more in on just blindly putting Justin Jefferson as high as I could put him. But that Browns defense, I think, is going to be probably a lower scoring matchup for most of the game. And if it gets out of hand, I mean, the consensus right now is Jefferson wide receiver 4. Is that for week 5? Is that the right spot still?
I don't even think that's that crazy to rank him at. And the Browns defense is fantastic. They're better against the run than they are against the pass.
Yes.
Not so much that you're like, this is a pass funnel, like you got to target the passing game against the Browns. Like, the Browns pass defense is still good. It's just not as good as the run defense.
Right.
But it's Justin Jefferson. Like, it's just one of those things where
the calculus is simple.
Yeah, he's proven to be just the elite of the elite. Has an argument to be the best wide receiver in the NFL every single year. A player like that, I'm always going to have trouble ranking lower. It's a little bit different than like Jamar Chase, who we've now seen these games with Jake Browning that have not gone the way we'd like. It's a little bit rough. I had a little bit more optimism than I probably should have when Joe Burrow went down, but Jake Browning is looking really rough.
The hopium was strong.
Yeah, and Zach Taylor's offense is not innovative. It doesn't do a lot of things to help out the players, help out the wide receivers. Not a lot of motion, play action, all those kinds of things that we really want. Whereas the Kevin O'Connell offense, we know, does all the things that we want. So you can still continue to have faith in the backup quarterbacks in a KOC offense. So, yeah, I still have faith, Justin Jefferson.
Yeah, I'm looking at who is ahead of Justin Jefferson, and that kind of ties into the next player that I'm going to talk about, and that's Ted McMillan. Ted McMillan over Justin Jefferson is that's nonsensical to me. It's outrageous. This is egregious. This is sinful. This is we need to get an exorcism. It's almost demonic. Emily Rose situation. Where Ted McMillan is on arguably one of the worst offenses in the NFL. Bryce Young looks terrible. It's whatever hope we had for Bryce Young at the end of last season, I think that's been dashed pretty well. I still like Ted as a talent, and don't get me wrong, but explain 12 to me like I'm 5. Like, look at the game log for Ted McMillan. He hasn't finished inside the top 24 any week. He's finished 31, 29, 44, 38. So he is a borderline wide receiver 3 in the game logs. Like, there's no pathway for Ted McMillan to sustain that the targets are there 8, 9, and 10 every week, but no touchdown equity. And we're talking like yards per target, just very, very low. So I can't do it. I can't get any, like, I think in these rest of season rankings, I think Tet is closer to 30 than he is to 10. And that's more like Devonta Smith. I think Matthew Golden is still too high at 34 here, but like T. Higgins, Chris Godwin, I think that's the better spot to put Tet McMillan right now. Why is that the right take?
He is a bit too high. I hate to say it because I love Tet McMillan. I think he is a player where it's like a watch the tape player, because if you watch him play, you're like, this guy looks really good.
Sure.
It's just everything around him is not doing him any favors.
No.
And it is really hard to see a path now with how Bryce Young looks this year, how this offense looks this year. They've gotten injuries across the offensive line that really hurt. Like, is he ever really going to be a top 12 wide receiver this season? And like, I can't see a time in which he's going to be ranking up there for me anytime soon. So it's tough to have him in the rest of the season rankings up there. I would probably go low end wide receiver 2, somewhere in there. I could make that argument.
So like a Jauan, like a Deebo Samuel.
Yeah, I'd probably still want him over Deebo.
Like,
I think
has
the
Lad
low end
McConkey
wide
fallen?
receiver 2 area is a little bit wonky to begin with. Like Jacoby Myers, I think should be a little bit lower. Like I still want Tet over Jacoby, but I think Jacoby should be lower. So you know what I mean?
Sure.
But somewhere in that general range, I think is appropriate for Tet, just because I still think easily in that team in targets. I think he's going to look good whenever he has the opportunities. It's just, what's the touchdown equity for him? How high is that ceiling actually? What can it actually get to? I'm not sure it can get to top 12 with just how this Panthers offense looks so far.
Yeah. 12, way too high. All right, Wyatt, hit us with another wide receiver.
Yeah, this guy's too high, and that's Jauan Jennings, who a player I liked coming into the season. I was a believer in what he did in 2024, but he's at wide receiver 24 rest of the season in the wide receiver rankings here on playerprofiler.com, and that's just too high. One, he's also dealing with an injury. Now, I'm not sure how much that is accounted for in this, because he's kind of been like in and out, and then he's kind of like just declared out for this week today.
I don't think Evan is updated for just the injuries for this week, but yeah.
Yeah, but he's ahead of Quentin Johnston. It's like, what? Deebo Samuel, I would rather have.
Johnson's a borderline top 12 wide receiver.
Xavier Worthy, who looked good his first game back, much better than I was expecting. You can make an argument for Keenan Allen, because frankly, like, all the Chargers wide receivers should probably be top 24. Michael Pittman, who's having a solid year.
Yeah.
DK Metcalf,
yeah.
It's a little bit boom bust for him just because the target share is not great in that offense, but he's been efficient. They've changed his role completely. He's like a close to the line of scrimmage player now, and they just let him work after the catch, and it's working. There's just like a lot of players who can just continue moving down the line where I don't, because also saying all this without mentioning that, like, at some point Brandon Ayuk is coming back. Now, I don't know how much he's going to have left for this season, coming off this multi-ligament injury.
I mean, Shanahan has no timeline right now. That's what we're hearing.
Yeah, but like, it's just something that also has to linger in the back of your head when you're ranking San Francisco wide receivers rest of the season, especially Jauan Jennings. Like Ricky Pearsall, I think it affects less, because I think like he looks like he's their guy, and that makes sense. But Jauan Jennings,
and also Kittle will come back here shortly too.
Kittle will come back at some point. So yeah, too high for Jennings.
Too high for Jennings, man. Oh man. And also, like, we're in that range too. Wan'Dale Robinson, far too high.
We could talk about, because maybe it might not be that crazy with Malik Neighbors being out here.
I know that he had the big spike week in week 2. That was with Russell Wilson, who can just throw the prettiest deep ball that we've ever seen. And there was one big play that went to Wan'Dale. He has historically always gotten targets. they're short targets. He's not like a goal line wide receiver. He's not going to get a lot of touchdown equity. So to have him ahead of, like, you have to put McLaurin, you have to put Pearsall, you have to put Higgins like ahead of him. I think you have to put Marvin Harrison. You were arguing like floor ceiling last week about Olave
I agree with this.
and Olave and I can't remember who the other wide receiver was.
Quentin Johnson, I think.
Quentin Johnson. But still, like Marvin Harrison clearly has such a higher ceiling that the floor is worth like that risk when it comes to Wan'Dale.
For sure.
Because so we're talking like, I think back end wide receiver 3, and right now, well, even lower than where he's at 32. I think that's more of like he'll finish 32 because he'll be between 36 and 24 every week, and he's never gonna give you a week winning week, which like maybe these rest of season rankings are like also factoring in the confidence that you can put Wan'Dale Robinson in your lineup and he's not going to give you a 0, because he's not going to give you a 0. His target share is just too high, and especially in PPR leagues. Okay, fine, like I can see the pathway for the confidence for Wan'Dale there, but like you're never going to. This was like a Golden Tate situation where you were always going to put Golden Tate in your lineup, but he was never going to give you a 23, 25 point game, just never. But you weren't going to get a 0. And maybe we can tie this into Wyatt to the fallout of the Giants. I know you mentioned that Skattebo and Tracy are expected to get more touches, especially pass catching out of the backfield. But a wide receiver who's not been mentioned so far in this podcast is Darius Slayton. I think Slayton is your spike week guy. He's your downfield threat. But how much confidence do you have in Slayton replicating downfield winning with Jackson Dart, who it was clear, at least in week 1, they were playing it pretty conservative from a passing perspective?
I do like how you explained like Wan'Dale Robinson, because I think that is the way to look at it, like that he is going to be a floor pick rest of the season. But like that's why I said like it's not crazy for 32, because like he could very well just finish right around there. It's just the way he does it compared to some other players. Like I wouldn't personally rank him there, but I just want to point out like he's probably going to end up finishing as a wide receiver 3, rest of the season. So it kind of like makes some sense. But yeah, Slayton, I mean, he's shown it before, right? He's done it plenty of times before. So we know that he's capable of it. It's just like in this offense, as long as Malik Neighbors was healthy, he's not really needed, he doesn't fill a role that isn't already filled by somebody else who can do that specific role better than him. And in an offense with like the Giants, where they're not, passing the piss out of the ball to all over the field, like they're it's a consolidated route tree for the most part for the Giants. So like he was always going to be to the side a little bit, but with Malik Neighbors out, now it makes sense. Like, okay, we've got our closer to line of scrimmage player in Wan'Dale. Darius Slayton's going to work, deeper intermediate stuff. Like it just makes sense. It's a nice pairing. So, he's like wide receiver 53 on the rest of the season rankings. I would say that's maybe a little bit low, fairly appropriate because it's going to be inconsistent week to week, I would say. But like him versus Calvin Austin, who's right ahead of him, like I'd rather have Darius Slayton. But then right ahead of that's Khalil Shakir. I'd much rather have Khalil Shakir.
Give me Shakir for sure.
Yeah, Shakir's probably too low. And now that I'm looking at this, like we should probably move Shakir up these rankings a bit. But you go up like Malik Washington or Darius Slayton.
Give me Slayton.
That's a conversation, right? And Malik Washington's ahead by a bit. Troy Franklin, who like everyone got up in arms about because of 1 week, but then like what's happened since? Because what do you know? Sean Payton is Sean Payton, and you can never pick the wide receiver who's really going to establish himself other than Courtland Sutton in offense. So yeah, I think Slayton, I mean, it's probably a buy rest of the season. Like I know lots of teams where I'd be happy to have Slayton on my bench right now.
Yeah, there's definitely some leagues where the waiver wire is very thin right now, especially given all these injuries. You mentioned Troy Franklin. Franklin, he's had at least 6 targets in 3 of his 4 games, and he's finished as a top 50 wide receiver in those 3 games. So like, fine.
50?
I mean, it's not a 0, and he's had six targets. Like, he's getting some work.
If he was a tight end, I'd be excited about that.
Well, I want to throw in I was just looking at the tight end rankings. I didn't have one necessarily prepared, but obviously Darren Waller at 28. I know there's the injury concerns. That's what has to be factored in, but I can't not. And it's not because of what we saw this past week. Like, the previous 2 seasons of healthy Darren Waller, he was a top 12 tight end in fantasy points per game, even when he just wasn't himself, or he wasn't the dominant top 3 that he was. He was still top 12. So
I think he should be higher than 28, but I don't know much higher I actually get. He's still old and missed a year of football. Like, I get he's pretty athletic, so he's still going to be a little pretty athletic in general, but man, I just have a tough time buying into that. I'm willing to be burned by Darren Waller.
Well, the other player that's right behind him in these rankings is, I think, a player that
this is a good one,
very quietly crushing it over the last 2 weeks, and that's Mason Taylor. Taylor has had 6 and 7 targets. He is playing at least 72% of the snaps. And that was his first week really getting major work with Justin Fields, because Fields was out with the concussion for a couple weeks. Mason Taylor, the coaching staff, has gone out of their way and not only like included him, but they have also said, like, we want to get him the ball more. So, and that's been indicative of what we've seen the last 2 weeks. He's had 13 targets. So I think moving Mason Taylor up closer to, I mean, instead of tight end 29, he should be closer to tight end 20 or higher. Like, he was tight end 11 last week. Yeah,
I agree with this. Mason Taylor should be much higher. I mean, he should be in the same range as like a Mark Andrews, Dallas Goedert, Brenton Strange, like these in this like mid-range tight end 2s.
Oh, the Brenton Strange, yeah.
I think that's about where he should be. Brenton Strange is one where, like, I think he could end up being a low end tight end 1 rest of the season, honestly.
Yeah.
Wouldn't surprise me. We talked about him on the latest press coverage, me and Pat Fitzmaurice, that, like, I mean, he leads the Jaguars in receiving yards, you know, which is like, which is kind of crazy.
Gross.
But it's like, I understand there's this stuff going on with Brian Thomas and Travis Hunter, but Travis Hunter is not going past the slot wide receiver spot. Liam Cohen has said that. That's the position he's learning this year in the offense. So, like, I think you just have to realize that you're not getting much out of Travis Hunter this year. Like, I expect him to be better than he is, but it's not like he's going to be like dominating in targets, I think, this season. And Brian Thomas, I expect to come back around at some point, but there's still some room for Brenton Strange's offense, because as far as ugly as it's been, this offense has put up yards and points consistently, like week in and week out. They're still doing it. So, yeah, like, I don't see why Brenton Strange couldn't continue to put up, like, 5 for 45 every week or whatever,
Yeah. Oh, one of the players that maybe is also a little, this is an interesting one. We should talk about it just for the SEO of the stream. We got to talk about Travis Kelce. We got to talk about, how his billionaire fiance is dropping an album in less than 48 hours. My wife is very excited. It is a big deal. And I'm moving him down in my week 5 rankings because I expect that he will be distracted by his billionaire fiance dropping a major album this weekend. So Kelce is currently the tight end 13. He, in points per game, he is number 5 in tight end explosive plays on the season, but he's been tight end 8, 10, 25, and 18. And he's our player profiler tight end 15. I mean, that's fine, I guess. Like, he's going to Jason Witten his way to tight end 12. Like, if you remember the last 5 years of Jason Witten's career, he was just there, and he's going to back end tight end 1 it because he exists in this offense. So that's all that Travis Kelce is going to be offering in terms of fantasy goodness. Wyatt, do you have any other takes on Kelce?
I think he should be lower. I don't think he'll finish as a tight end 12. I really don't think he has much left. And I think as soon as Rashee Rice gets back, it's over, basically.
It's
and if you look at those first 3 games last year, when they were playing together, because they play in the similar area of the field, it was bad for Kelce. Very bad. And don't forget, this is also when Xavier Worthy was barely getting any opportunities in the offense yet either, who he now has really improved and has become a real player in this offense. But
yes,
in those first 3 games, Kelce had a total of 12 targets. A total of 12 targets. He had a total of 69 receiving yards in those 3 games. Like, yes, not good.
Not nice.
When Rashee Rice is back, I expect nothing out of Kelce. Like you'd have to pay me to put him in my lineup. So I
heard that, Evan.
I would have him lower.
Move Kelce down. Move Kelce down. All right, we'll close it out. I'm just gonna scan through these quarterback rest of season rankings, and I'm looking at like Dak Prescott feels a little low at quarterback 12. I'm still bullish on Daniel Jones, even though he's 13. Yeah,
the QBs are looking pretty good overall.
Yeah, QBs. This is a pretty tight ranking. Shout out to Evan. This looks pretty good.
Shout out to
Evan. These look pretty tight. Maybe May over Herbert, Jackson over Herbert and May. Like maybe that's a maybe. But the fact that we're having those conversations, I think, speaks to the Jackson injury that maybe we're not sure about, and then also the ascension of those 2 players. Herbert has had at least 40 pass attempts each of the last 2 weeks. And we saw even in the first 2 weeks, the pass rate over expectation was pretty high for the Chargers, even if the volume wasn't there for it. So I'm fine with an aggressive ranking of Justin Herbert rest of season. You've got McConkey and Allen and Quinton Johnston, who are winning down the field, all 3 of them.
Yeah, I would say like the one that probably sticks out to me the most is Jordan Love being at QB 21. Because I would probably have him at least with Goff at QB 17 over Penix, Lawrence, Stafford. Even as someone who wasn't that into Jordan Love this season.
You didn't love him?
I did not love, but that is a very good offense. Jordan Love is playing well. I would definitely have him a few spots.
Love is currently the quarterback 15 fantasy points per game. He's quarterback 11 in total fantasy points, and he is on pace to decimate last season's rushing yards. He's at 62. He had 83 in 15 games last year, and yes, it's because of the injury, but it speaks to just even a little bit more mobility that he has compared to last season. So he's getting back to. I mean, he was QB 5 in 2023 in fantasy points per game. He's quarterback 15 right now, but the difference is really 0.6 of a point.
Right.
So I agree with you. I think he should be a little bit higher. And that's with Christian Watson being out, Jaden Reed being out, Matthew Golden really still not being too involved. Yeah, I'm here for. I'm loving the love here. Go Pack Go. All right, Wyatt, any other players that stick out to you before we call it for the night?
No, I think that's it.
All right, great work. I'm going to send this video to Evan and just say, hey, take a look. This is our submission, man versus machine. Thanks so much for tuning in with us. Oh, we got one question before we tune out. Roswell Morales, shout out to you. Thanks for your patience. 10-team PPR redraft. I have Mika Egbuka, AJ Brown, I'm assuming, Nico Collins, George Pickens. Should I trade Egbuka for Rashee Rice?
I would not trade Egbuka for Rashee Rice, but if you wanted to get Rashee Rice, I would try to send AJ Brown instead. Although, I mean, I'm not guessing that's going to happen, but AJ Brown's probably the player I want the least out of your wide receivers right now. And I don't have any reason to want to send Egbuka or Nico or Pickens for Rice.
Nope.
Pickens is probably the closest to being someone I would send for Rice, but We don't know really what's going to be happening with CeeDee Lamb. Pickens looks pretty good in this Dallas offense. So, I'm not rushing to get Rashee Rice to begin with if this is my team. But if I was going to do it, I'd start with AJ Brown.
Yeah, I'm not trading Igbuka. I would look to. I've been pounding the table, Wyatt. This is not the first or second time that I've been saying trade AJ Brown. So I'm here for this. I'm glad that the people are starting to see my ways. I'm here for it. Roswell, thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it. Make sure you guys like and subscribe to the channel. On behalf of Wyatt, I'm Bradley. He's the man. I'm the machine. Until next time, everyone, good luck in the fantasy football streets in week number 5.